Hello my fellow riders and welcome back to Riding Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a test ride on the Vogue ER10 fully electric motorbike. Hello my fellow riders and welcome back to Riding Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a test ride on the Vogue ER10 125cc equivalent electric motorcycle. Now this was originally developed by Ceron. They didn't want to release it, so they sold the rights to Vogue, and Lexmoto have bought it into the country. Now I don't know exactly what's going on with Lexmoto and Vogue at the minute, but I heard something about Vogue didn't want Lexmoto to add their Lexmoto brand name onto their vehicles, and yeah, so people don't like this, where Lexmoto want to bring the bikes into the country as a Lexmoto, for obvious reasons. There you go, we won't go into that too much today. So we're going to break this video down into a couple of sections. Section 1 is going to be me mumbling on about the spec and the price and what I personally think about it, and then part 2 is going to be of you listening to the bike going around the block. Now you don't have to listen to this if you don't want to. I am going to add some music to that section because usually you hear the roar of a 125cc engine, but on this one it is electric, so there is no roar. So we're going to go through the most important thing first: price. This bike comes in at £4,185, and then there is a £150 OTR charge on top of that. Now the OTR charge covers the DVLA registration, it covers PDI, test ride, charging, number plates, all of this sort of stuff. Now the whole of the UK industry charge £150 for all bikes, regardless of whether they're petrol or electric. It's just because when you do a petrol version, the prices for all of these components are probably higher than £150. Actually, I know they are. And electric, they're still higher. But you would think that with an electric bike, you would pay less. It doesn't quite work out well. So the maximum laden weight on this one is 150 kilograms. Now most of this weight is at the back. I did try and lift this bike up to put it into a parking spot earlier from the back end, and it was quite hard to do so. Lots of the weight is further forward, but the motor's quite heavy, so the back end is quite heavy as well. It does feel a lot heavier than some of the other 125cc motorbikes, probably because there isn't that much on a 125cc motorbike at the back end. Battery weight on this is 29 kilograms. You can take the battery off of this fairly easily, but it's not something that is easy enough to put on and take off every day to take into your house. Also, the charging port on the battery itself is different to the charging port that you would use to charge it. So you would just plug in this one, you plug in a kettle lead in the back, and that's how you charge it. The inverter and everything's actually built into the bike. So this one has a 60 volt 6 kilowatt motor on it with a peak output of 14 kilowatts. I've ridden a couple of electric vehicles. This definitely has a lot more power than some of the 125 equivalent ones that I've tried, but the Lexmoto Cypher seems to have a lot more taking off. Now I don't know if they've done this on purpose so that you're not wheel spinning everywhere, because this one produces a max output power of 14 kilowatts, which means that at that back wheel there's going to be a lot of torque to get you spinning if they don't control it. So they have probably controlled it so that you're not wheel spinning everywhere. The bike produces 42 Newton meters of torque. A general 125cc produces somewhere in the 14 to 20 range. 20 is quite powerful. The battery on this is 60 volt at 70 amp hour. This is a lithium ion battery, and you're looking at about 3.6 kilowatts to come out of this, kilowatt hours, I believe it is. So it is a fairly powerful battery. They're saying the maximum speed on this is 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 62 miles per hour. I test rode this one. I got a max speed of 58 miles an hour, but you'll be able to see that on here anyway. And that wasn't instant, it was a build-up process to get to that sort of speed. Maybe when things have run in a little bit, it might get a little bit faster. This is a water-cooled motor in this, so there are things that are going to be tight. But I don't think you're going to get much more than that. 62 is probably the max. Usually on a 125cc motorbike, they tell you you're going to get something in the 60 range, but you can usually get a little more. I don't think you're going to get that much more out of this one. At 30 kilometers, which is 18 miles an hour, they state that you can get 120 kilometers of range, which is approximately 75 miles. Nobody's going to use this bike for 75 miles at 18 miles an hour. It's just not going to happen. When I went on this bike, at the beginning when I got on it was 99%, and it was stating that I had 16 miles. Now this was because all I did was potter up and down the road a couple of times, so it was calculating on my max output of the battery for that short distance. Now as I took it around the block, it did build up to 26 miles, and it stayed at about 26 miles for my entirety of the 6-mile ride around the block. Will it do the 75 kilometers at 50 miles an hour? No, it will not. This bike will do approximately 35 miles. I think you're going to struggle in urban environment to be able to get 50 kilometers or 50 miles. Sorry. So you've got to take that into consideration when you are actually purchasing this bike, because it is going to make a big difference to what you are able to use it. So if you can only go 35 miles and then you've got to charge the bike for 4 hours before you can use it again, you're very limited to what you can do. Now, as I say at the end of this video, this bike will suit me and my purposes because I have an 8-mile commute to work. I have the availability to charge the bike where I work, and then I have an 8-kilometer journey back. I don't usually go anywhere else other than the gym after work on my bike, which is en route anyway, so it's not going to make that much difference to me. The only time I would have a problem with this bike is on my GPZ 600. I once a month tend to do about 40 miles on it, just to get my fix of a bit of speed. This probably, well, this won't be able to do that. This doesn't have the power output of a 600cc, but it would be good for commuting. Is an electric vehicle more economic than a petrol vehicle? No, it is not. Now you can say, oh, it's electric and it's more economical, but the process of actually building a bike in the first place is more carbon costly than a petrol bike, because of the elements that they have to use, to make the copper and the lithium for the battery, and charging prices and where they get the charging voltage from to charge the bike is usually quite a lot. The UK charging is still done by cars and gas. So yeah, it's you're not buying this bike for saving the environment, because it's not going to save the environment. You buy this bike because you want an electric bike, but that's it. So anyway, I'm going to shut up because I talked for quite a while now. You can listen to what the bike sounds like. I'll add a little bit of music so that you can hear it. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully I have informed you of some of the information.
So I like this bike. I think it's nice to ride. I think it's quite quick off the mark. It's not quite as quick as some of the other electric ones, but it does step it up a little bit. For my personal circumstances, this bike would be quite good. It means that I can take the 8-mile ride to work, 8-mile ride home, with a little bit extra in between, just in case I get stuck or want to go to the shop or stuff like that. This isn't a bike for somebody who just doesn't know where they're going and they just want to go out and have fun and go to loads of different places. This will not be suitable for that purpose. Reason being is because of the range. Anyway, on the dash it states that 87%. I was going to have about 27 miles left. Now, this isn't going to be 100% accurate, and they're stating that you should be able to get 35 to 50 miles to a charge. If you go at 18 kilometers an hour, you should be able to get 75, but realistically, nobody's ever going to use it like that. So if you're going from one place of work and then home again with an average of somewhere in the 10 to 15 miles, then this is going to be adequate for what you're trying to use it for. For people with an unknown journey or an extended ride required, if you can go somewhere and you can charge it and then you can come home afterwards, it would be fine. But other than that, probably not. You're probably better off with a petrol vehicle at the minute. So thank you for watching my video. Hopefully you've liked it, hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully you know if this is the right bike for you. If you want to support the channel, please hit our thanks or buy some merch. All proceeds go to supporting the Riding Reviews channel, and hopefully it'll help me make videos in the future and get better equipment. If you've got any comments, please comment below and I answer every single one. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay updated to all of my latest content. But as always, ride safe. Oh yeah, if you want to see the other video to this series, i.e. me talking about it, telling you the spec,